Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Father and Son Pastime podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
That's my dad.
How are you?
Dad, we are here to talk about the 2021 trade deadline happening in just a few days. Today we're recording on the 27th of July.
Yes.
To share our predictions, what may happen over the course of the next 3-4 days, ending obviously on July 30th. It's going to be
at
crazy.
4 p.m. Eastern Time. And the reason why it's on a Friday this year, they didn't want to go stretch it into the weekend and have all this last-minute stuff and all that stuff. So they kind of pushed it up a day for the trade deadline. So it's in the late afternoon for media coverage and all that stuff. But it's Friday afternoon is the absolute deadline.
And what's also interesting this year, obviously with COVID last year, we didn't really have a traditional trade deadline. There are no August trades this year.
Correct.
There's no waivers.
No waiver wire.
There's no waiver wire. If you want someone off your team, you better do it by July 30th. If you want someone on your team, you better start making these offers.
Yeah.
We're starting to see, Nelson Cruz has been traded, Dad. There's been a couple small trades. I wouldn't call anything we've seen so far a blockbuster.
No, not whatsoever. They're coming.
Right. I think of seeing the Rays get Nelson Cruz was a surprise, but there hasn't been something like, I will always reference the Red Sox-Dodgers trade of 2012, where $200 million was basically exchanged via players, and you're like...
That was a 7-player deal?
I think it was a 7-player deal.
Okay.
And it's just like, okay, you need a time. It was Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, Josh Beckett, Nick Punto, and cash.
That was Theo Epstein that did that deal?
I think that was... I think that was Sherrington. Either his last of Epstein or still first year Sherrington.
Okay.
But yeah, so that... I don't know if we'll see that this year.
We may. We may see a lot of 3-team deals.
We may see a lot of 3-team ways. Those 3-way trades are always fun for us to watch. But the point of this episode is not to reminisce about the past, but it's to talk about predicting the future. We can always reminisce about the past. We're really good at that if you've ever seen our other episodes.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, Dad, is to look at the sellers. Standings are behind us, so we're going to be taking a look at a lot of these teams in 5th place in each perfectly positioned, right? Yeah, exactly. To see what they'll be selling. Maybe what they won't be selling. Maybe some players are on their team are so awful they can't be sold or moved. Madison Bumgarner, for example. Too big of a contract and just having a horrible year. And seeing maybe some surprise teams that are sort of at that 500. Do the Cleveland Indians buy or sell? Mm-hmm. St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, Toronto Blue Jays.
DMZ.
Right, exactly. So see what happens. Anaheim Angels. Los Angeles Angels, sorry. Speaking of the past, Anaheim Angels. To see what teams make the move, some predictions. And for those watching at home, we're going to be way wrong. Just like our free agent predictions, just like my World Series predictions, those are pretty good. They're going to be just way wrong. So feel free to chime in, obviously, in the comments, what you think's going to happen. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a long episode, so strap in.
Real quick, I don't know if the viewers at home know this little tidbit, but now teams that want to unload contracts, San Diego Padres for one, they want to get rid of Hosmer because he has an 8-year deal, and they're saying, hey, if we add players, we're going to go over the limit for the salary cap. So what they're trying to do is trade Hosmer, if possible, and then add more prospects so teams are willing to take that big contract, but they'll include more prospects for that team to take that guy. Mm-hmm. And now you've never seen a lot of those trades.
It's unique.
It is. So they're saying, hey, here's a way to get rid of some of folks. We'll throw in 5 prospects instead of 3, but you got to take this guy off our hands.
You got to take the contract. Yeah.
And that works out. I mean, when I read that, I said, well, and then he's a great guy in the clubhouse, but, again.
Having a good July.
Yeah, his stats are down compared when he was Kansas City and all that stuff. But I'm thinking if a team does have a little extra money, like the Cubs, and then they want to get, let's say, Rizzo, then okay, I can see, that kind of working out and everything else. But it's something new to baseball, and with the salary cap saying, hey, listen, we'll dump, but we'll give you extra for taking this guy off our hands. Very new to baseball.
It is new to baseball, so we'll see what kind of happens. I'm sure there'll be plenty of traditional trades like we've seen over the past couple of days. Adam Frazier, for example, talking about the Padres.
Yeah, good trade.
But yeah, so we're going to examine really any name that's been floated out in the past few weeks via trade rumors. And I want to get your opinion, Dad, if you think that player will be traded. If so, what team? I'll lead off again. I'm just going to get this ball rolling. Talk about the Baltimore Orioles first, over my right shoulder here. Dad, Trey Mancini's name gets thrown out in trade rumors. Last winter, before he had cancer, he was always been a candidate for a trade. Is this the summer the Orioles trade him, or does he stay in Baltimore?
He stays in Baltimore.
I agree.
I'm thinking if the Orioles have to decide when will they stop, going correct. The Tigers have come on record of saying, hey, we are done rebuilding. We're building for the future. They've done really well. I don't know if you've seen their record, but it's one of the most improved.
Third place team.
Correct.
Better than the Twins and the Royals.
The GM has stated, okay, we're done. Mm-hmm. We're going to move to the future. We're not going to sell out every year and build. We got the core. Let's move on. Baltimore is at that stage that they have to say, we're done, and we got kids in AA, single A coming up. This is going to be our team 2 years from now, and we're going to try to contend. They can't keep selling. You lose all faith. They're not drawing well to begin with. So they got to start building. We'll do player by player, but if anybody's the anchor of this team, it's him, Mancini, and they got to build around him, and the fans love him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't think they should trade him. I think it would be bad for the city and the team. So if he's the anchor of maybe the team in general, I'm thinking maybe the anchor of the pitching staff, John Means. He just got back off the IL. Is he a trade candidate, or does he also stay in Baltimore?
He's your number 3 starter when
No, John Means is your ace for the Orioles. He is nobody's even close.
No. Futuristically, I meant. So I'm thinking right now.
I think John Means is still going to be the ace for the Orioles in the future.
Even Rodriguez comes
I think he'll be a closer. I do not think he'll be a starter. Grayson Rodriguez, if you're not familiar with the Orioles system.
I just think that he is a keeper. I would not trade him. He's another player that came up through the ranks. He's a success story. They didn't think he'd be as good as he is. He's a keeper. You got to keep him in the rotation because the rotation's not very good. So he's the one that's going to be your number 1 to compete with the other number 1 starters. I think he stays.
Okay, so we got 2 stays. Freddie Galvis, another name being floated around. He's currently in the IL.
Correct, which really hurts, no pun intended. I would have traded him if he was healthy because I don't think he was a rental player to begin with. With that intention, they signed him. I think if he was healthy, they would trade him for prospects.
So they're stuck with him, is what you're saying.
Correct.
So 0 for 3 right now on Orioles trade chips. All right, what about some lefties coming out of the pen? Paul Fry and Tanner Scott.
I get rid of one of them, not both of them.
Okay, both of them still have multiple years of team control left.
Right, but right now left-handed relievers are at a premium, so they need to get 2 prospects for Fry. And I'm thinking if they get 2 prospects for Fry, I do it. Tanner Scott is a little younger, and I think has a better future.
I think Paul Fry is actually a little better. Just what do you want there? Better, like more impact now, or
correct? That's why you can get something more for him.
I think both get traded.
Interesting.
So I also have just feel free to disagree with me in the comments. Don't hang on to bullpen pieces. It's so up and down with a lot of relievers, even possible Hall of Famers, at least on the ballot of Craig Kimbrell. You're going to have up and down years. So if you're a team in rebuild, sell your good bullpen pieces because there's no guarantee they'll even be half this good next year.
Okay.
So you'll see a theme in my thing that if you're a 7th, 8th, 9th guy and you're on one of these losing teams, you're traded. I don't care if you have 6 years left of team control. People are going to try to move you because there's no guarantee. Get as much value is what I'm saying.
And left-handed relievers, they'll bring more than right-handed relievers.
And I don't know if you have predictions for these people because I know they're a little lower down on the trade targets list. They're not like, a top Trevor Story type of thing. But I have Paul Fry going to Oakland, and I have Tanner Scott going to Houston. Both those teams will be looking for left-handed relievers, as we've already seen.
Even Oakland got Chafin yesterday.
I'm well aware. Okay. Yeah, and that's proof that they're still looking for more people. But again, Houston now might be even hungrier to add some.
That's going to be a battle. That's going to be a battle. Oakland wants to win that division. I really like their spunk. Very good GM. He always does well at the deadline.
Yeah. Speaking of other relievers for the Orioles, Cesar Valdez, I have him also going to Houston in a deal, Scott and Valdez to Houston.
Wow.
So it's going to be, come August, there's not going to be a recognizable face in that bullpen.
You might get a tryout.
I know. I'm going to be, if you don't know me by now, I'm very pro-trade. Like, they're not performing, trade them. It all depends on the package you get, obviously, but you got to shop these names around. If you're a good GM, you got to say, well, I'll listen.
Yeah. Well, think about the bullpen arm bullpen arms when the starters were going 1 or 2 innings at the beginning of the season. The bullpen was really doing the best they can for the Orioles and kind of prove their worth because their starters were so bad. So again, they got a name for themselves. So good for them.
Anthony Santander is another name that's being floated out there. However, he's still young and on the IL. So does he stay as well?
I don't think there's any takers. I think he's a very good outfielder. Very good last year. He's just had some injury problems. I don't think there'd be a whole lot of takers, to be quite honest.
I have him staying as well. The two remaining trade chips, and they're going to get maybe a single A ball player, recent draftee type of thing, coming back. Matt Harvey and Maikel Franco at third base for the Orioles. Do either of those players find a new uniform August 1st or July 31st?
I think they both will be offered out there. Harvey may get a taker. Franco will not.
So I have Harvey going back to the Mets on a very reunion-based, trade.
Okay.
Some player the Mets don't want. Harvey's had a terrible year. He has not been the bounce-back candidate the Orioles hoped. Obviously, they didn't have King Felix bounce back the way they hoped. But he's had 2 good starts in a row. And in July, the hunt... If you're the Mets, you're not a dominant team. You're 4 or 5 games above the Braves, who are 3 games below 500. So it's not a dominant thing. So if this helps bring more fans to the stadium, does that help you have a home field advantage? Is that just, hey, let's just put Harvey in the bullpen type of thing, bring him in for a long relief or as an opener or some weird thing like that? There's options. They like older guys. They've just proven they got Rich Hill. So
he's a grandparent.
He might be. So I'm just saying that I think there could be a reunion. If he doesn't go, he just finishes his year and probably is not offered a contract in the fall unless he's at a magical, second half. And I think Maikel Franco does go, gets sort of how that works out. Like, oh, what happened to the starting third baseman for the Orioles? I think they can move this guy named Ramon Urias, who's currently the shortstop, playing for Galvis. Galvis goes to shortstop, Urias goes to third. And I have Maikel Franco also going to Houston. So I have a big trade between Orioles and Houston because there is some connections there with
Franco would be a utility infielder for...
Bregman's right now hurt.
Okay.
So Bregman really is just a stop... until Bregman gets back from the injured list. Franco is just that bat off the bench. He can go deep. Doesn't have a great average, but he does have power. But I just think that there is some relationships between Houston and Baltimore, given the coach of the Orioles.
Elias.
Right. So I just think that there, could be some friendly conversations going on there. And Tanner Scott, Franco, and Cesar Valdez go into Houston. Houston's got prospects. So, I'm just saying they line up well. Not saying any of these will happen.
They do well the international market.
Just a prediction. And, the Orioles are after talent. They have great minor league teams. Bowie's dominating. So Delmarva's doing really well. So it's just seeing that influx hopefully come up by 2023, 2024 for the Orioles. And they're going to use everyone they can this year. They're not going to get 4th place. Right? They're not going to compete in the East.
No.
So trade whoever you can for what you can. Keep Mancini, keep Means. But if there's a right offer for anyone else, trade them.
Okay.
But that's my thought on the Orioles. Did I forget anyone on your list that maybe the Orioles will shop, trade?
No, it just seems like there's enough teams that are going to be buyers. Will they get, the main people and all that stuff? There won't be so many minor deals. There'll be some hellacious big deals, but the minor ones may or may not happen. It's all about money as well. Some teams want to be buyers, but there's not a whole lot of money between them and the salary cap and everything else. So money's going to determine a lot of this stuff, and then we'll kind of see. Or it works in reverse. They'll get minor pieces and forget the major pieces. Yeah. You've got 72 hours.
Yeah. I also am trading like a fantasy baseball team here. San Diego Padres, however, have the same mentality. Hey, we have a second baseman, but let's go get another one.
But that's all part of realigning the infield, too.
Yeah. Again, that's possibly if Hosmer goes. Yeah. If Hosmer doesn't get traded in a couple days, they have 2 second basemen.
Oh, I know. and then Chenoweth goes where?
Cronenworth, yeah, exactly.
Or if someone goes the outfield. So
he can play the outfield because he's Ben Zobrist. But anyways, we're going to move on we're going to get back to talk about the Padres as, again, they're going to be involved in other trades, but I want to focus on more sellers. Now we're going to switch to the Twins. There's 2 teams in baseball right now that everyone's watching. maybe 3 if you count the Nats. But I'm really having my eyes on the Twins and the Cubs. How much those two teams break down and sell and just completely reboot. Some people think the Cubs are just everything but Baez. Twins have said different things, but let's talk about the Twins. Let's break down some of their trade candidates. Nelson Cruz has already been on the move to Tampa Bay.
Great trade for Tampa Bay.
Homered in his first game with the Rays. That worked out well.
Good leader. He'll bring a veteran presence to that young club.
Yeah, I agree. But let's look at, him and Rosarina in the same lineup. Let's look at the other candidates, and then I'll come back to this just to throw names out. Rennie Dobnak, he's on the IL. I don't think he'll get traded, but we can talk about him. Josh Donaldson.
No, he will not get traded.
Okay, I agree with that, actually. I think he's stuck because no one wants to be his teammate. Michael Pineda, Andrelton Simmons, Hanson Robles, who's like an 8th, 9th guy, J.A. Happ, Taylor Rogers, Alex Colomb, and Jose Barrios. So you have a team of stars, current All-Stars, former All-Stars all in there, some Gold Glovers with Andrelton Simmons. So Cruz is traded, Dobnak stays because he's injured, Donaldson stays because he's a bad teammate.
And big contract.
Yeah. Michael Pineda, middle-aged, 3rd or 4th, pitcher. He's not your ace. He's kind of an innings eater at this point. Big guy, Big Mike, 6'7".
280.
End of his contract. Does he get traded? Where to?
I think he gets traded for a very kind of like single-A, double-A guy. To a team that just needs another starter. I'm not sure which one, but to me, when he even pitched with the Yankees, I was never impressed by him. He's a 5-6 inning guy at the most. I just, he doesn't do anything to excite me. I think it's a 50-50 chance he gets traded.
I think he will. But again, I always lean, if that 50-50, I always go 51-49 because I like trades, shake up the system. I love chaos. I think he goes back to where he started, in Seattle, where he was the best before he had all those surgeries and injuries. His rookie year was with Seattle.
Is Seattle buying?
That's what I'm saying. So right before we went on
the air,
right before we went live, they traded Kendall Graveman, who's been one of the best relievers in all of baseball this year.
What a great story, too.
.8 ERA. 3rd place, a game and a half from the wild card, I believe, coming into this podcast. They're a scary team in my mind. They're like the Reds. Griffey teams are the scary teams right now. Yet, the trade didn't make sense to me. So we're still, that happened 5 minutes before we went on, so we're still trying to suss that out, see where that goes. I don't think they should be sellers. I have them as big buyers. In fact, you'll see a lot of predictions going there. Pineda's just one of my thoughts. They're going to need some pitching. Justice Sheffield's injured. They have a 1-2-3, but to make the playoffs, they're going to need a 4 or 5. Does Pineda get used in a long relief? Probably. But they gotta get there first.
It's hard to figure out.
I know. These are just off the wall throws, guys.
No. Yeah. What Seattle did today is hard to figure out. You kind of you don't know where they're going. Yes. So yeah, I'm with you.
Gold Glover, Andrelton Simmons.
Some say best defensive shortstop in major leagues.
Yes, offense is not there. 2 big names for the shortstops are him and obviously Story. If you are the Yankees or the Reds, you're linked to both. And I think he goes to the Reds. So Eugenio Suarez can play 3rd base where he should be and not play shortstop. So I have Simmons being traded for a good return, actually.
Are the Reds going to be buyers?
I hope they are. Again, my 2 scary teams, I'm back-to-back here with the Mariners and with the Reds because I don't want them to stand pat because I think both those teams, low injuries, right? They have a little bit of Moustakas injured, right? Obviously, I talk about Sheffield with the Mariners, but it's not like the Braves who lost Acuna. There's not these season-ending...
Short term, yeah.
Right.
Castellanos is hurt.
Right, but coming back. So I think they could make a push. It's really all about these... I wish the trade deadline was like August 15th because that would be so much more helpful for the Reds
That'll
and the
be their
Mariners.
new contract.
I know, right? With the information we have right now, I think the Reds and the Mariners are buyers. I don't think either one makes the playoffs, but I would love to see a shakeup, and I love to see them. Well, and what's the hurt? I don't know what Simmons might bring, but good for the Twins. He's a rental, so trade him. Don't keep him. You're dead last.
Yeah, I know. they brought him on to let him, everyone thought it'd be a division title, and that was one of the pieces to make him better defensively. So, you could see why they did what they did. Great pickup in the offseason. They just went south in a hurry. And they never recovered.
Yeah.
Got off for a poor start, and they just never got a winning streak.
Hansel Robles is their 8th, 9th guy. End of his contract this year. Probably not a big name because it's his first time he's hitting free agency. But I haven't gone to the Yankees because we've seen more than anything in the past 2 weeks that the Yankees blow games when they have the lead. They cannot trust their bullpen. Sure, Chapman and Britton can be good. O'Day, I think, is done for the season. But you will see the Yankees be freaks.
Isn't Britton hurt too? Or was?
I don't know if he's done for the season, though.
Okay.
But regardless, even if he's fine and he's back, they're going to need pitching. The two, like I said, the Reds and the Mariners are scary teams because I think they could make a push if they wanted to. What scares me more is how crazy the Padres are about to be in the Dodgers because they're being beat by the Giants.
Don't forget the Giants.
No, I don't think they'll be that crazy.
I think Giants are going to add.
I think they'll add, but I don't think they'll be crazy.
Wait.
So here's what I'm saying about crazy. The Yankees not making the playoffs or the Dodgers not winning and having... Think about this. Come October 2nd or 3rd, you're going to have a one-game playoff between the Dodgers and the Padres for your season. The Dodgers cannot stand that. Dodger fans will not allow that. So they're going to mortgage the damn farm to get into first place and to get that bye into a nice series and try to get another World Series win and try to go back-to-back.
What's going to be fun is the Giants and Dodgers are after this one player, and right now is a bidding war for this one player. They may give up
That's what I'm saying.
4 guys for this one player,
yes,
and it's going to be a competition, and that GM is just waiting for the phone to ring.
We'll get to that because I think I know what you're talking about. But it is a seller's market, and which is why I think, for example, Paul Fry of the Orioles gets called about because teams are going to be crazy. We've seen a fairly, in my opinion, I mean, we've only have, I think, 10 true sellers at this point rather than half the league. True. But there's going to be true widening of the standings in these next 2 months.
I agree.
Where you're going to have several teams that'll win over 100 games.
Teams that sell off want to get the better draft choice because, the teams that do sell, their lineups are going to be pathetic, and their pitching staffs are going to be pathetic. They're going to mortgage everything, and that might end up 20 games below 500, but they're doing that to get better draft choices and then rebuild and all those type of things. It's scary in baseball what happens. It's the haves and have-nots.
It is. It's very interesting who are the haves and have-nots right now because I thought the Twins would be buyers this time. Obviously, I thought they'd be the World Series winners.
Yeah.
I didn't think Diamondbacks would be this bad. But anyways, we'll get to both those teams soon.
Okay.
We're talking about the Twins now. Yankees will be big buyers. They'll be linked to everyone there. If you're in first place, you're almost trying to say, like, what's the one thing I might need, the 2 thing I might need to maintain my first place status?
And improve.
Right. But I don't think you mortgage the farm. The Red Sox don't give up 4 prospects to get Rizzo.
Correct.
They go,
Correct.
We're going to go get Jesus Aguilar because he's a first baseman, does the same thing, and he's 2 prospects.
Rizzo being left-handed, I think, is the key with that one.
Okay, then they get C.J. Cron from the Rockies. What I'm saying is, it's a seller's market, yes, for certain teams. And those teams are, again, the Padres, the Dodgers, probably Houston. Because, again, what if Oakland beats them? That's not good for the now Houston fans. The Yankees. Those teams are going to... But the teams like, for example, the Red Sox, the Giants, and honestly, I have an opinion that the Mets may not have to do all that much because the Mets get to beat up on the Nationals and the Marlins. The Phillies and Braves have split series like this whole... I don't think they've ever swept each other. It's like 2-1, and then it's 1-2, and then it's 2-2. So they're just fighting for mediocrity at this point. The Mets just kind of have, hey, I got 5-6 games on everybody. Cool. But I don't know. I just don't think they'll be linked to people, but I think the big splashes, the big risk will be the Yankees, the Padres, the Dodgers. So, and maybe a little bit of Houston. So I have them going to a lot of places. J.A. Happ is getting traded to Houston to give some to give some senior pitching to the Astros staff that needs some senior pitching.
Oh, love it.
He's that, or he's back to the Yankees.
New 25-man roster. Let's start.
Yeah. All right, and then
I love it.
Taylor Rogers doesn't get traded. They keep one more of Jose Barrios, and Alex Colomé gets traded back to the Rays for even more depth in their bullpen.
I think Tampa Bay's going to be a player.
I do, but again, they've played Cruz for a bat.
Yeah.
They might get another, like, Asdrubal Cabrera maybe as like a middle infielder. They
get a very big bat from what I'm reading.
There's gonna be links. I will be wrong. I'm just trying to defend my picks.
You're doing a fine job.
Do you have any thoughts on any of these players?
J.A. Happ, I thought would go back to the Yankees.
Okay, so all right.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, because he was successful in Yankee Stadium, good left-handed pitcher. I can see him wearing the pinstripes again.
Does Barrios get traded or Rogers? Their best reliever or their
Barrios? They'll get more for him
right now because a year and a half of team control.
Yes.
Okay. What does he go to?
Great question.
Linked to the Red Sox. I'll be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mets, the Phillies, Braves are all looking to get that golden spot and win the division. There will be no wild card coming out of the East or the Central. Everybody's going for that crown.
Reds are the one chaos.
You know what? And I hate to say this, but the Cardinals are the team that puzzle me the most. I watched them play the Cubs within the last week. They're a good baseball team, and I know
it's injuries.
I know that. But man, oh man, I look at that one and say, how in the hell can it be a 500 team? They're a good baseball team.
There won't be buyers and they won't be sellers. It's a weird thing to say,
I know.
But that's what's going to happen.
They'll build for next year and get everybody back healthy.
Yeah.
They got a nice farm system.
Yeah. So I actually don't think the Cardinals do a trade. I don't know.
I don't think so either because they were in no man's land.
Yeah, I don't think they'll sell anyone. I don't think they'll buy anyone.
Well, the GM has come out and said we're not going to be sellers, but he never came out and said we're going to be buyers either.
That tells me exactly what I need to know.
So, and that's a shame. And don't forget, they got pretty high payroll too.
Yeah. Colomb get traded as well. He still has multiple years in his contract, so he's not a free agent. So this could be a no.
Going back to Tampa Bay. I think you're onto something there.
He had a bad year so far. In fact, he's been replaced in the pen by Robles.
Sometimes you go back to your home field and you pick up a little bit. Again, a lot of times you pick up these players for rental players, and you hope they have 2 or 3 months in them. We'll see what happens. They won't get much for them.
Anyone else on the Twins that I didn't think of?
No.
Okay. Let's stay in the Central. Let's move on to the Royals. Their biggest trade chip is Whit Merrifield, a year and a half of team control. Linked to a few teams. Does he get traded? Does he stay?
He gets traded.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Finally. By the way, Whit Merrifield's 33. I thought he was much younger. He's aging.
Yes.
He started at 27, so I thought he started at like 21, and he's 27. I'm 6 years behind.
Big in Wilmington. Big hero in Wilmington. But anyway, I think he does. I thought he was going to go to Seattle.
That makes sense.
And you know what? I think the Royals now are like, you know what? They had a little run. They got better. Then all of a sudden they went on like a losing streak, and now they're below Detroit.
Yes, but they have a lot of rentals. They have a lot of one-year contracts.
Right now they're in last place. So I'm thinking...
As of this broadcast, the Twins are in last place. It is an older paper, but I just checked for the updated standings because everyone judges me.
But yeah, I think he gets traded, and I think he brings in 3 players.
If he gets traded, I agree that he would get a quality return. I don't think he does. We'll see. I just can see him and Bobby Witt in the same infield next year, and I think that's something you sell to Kansas City.
Big Bobby Witt fan.
You sell to Kansas City next year.
Okay.
And then you can negotiate an extension from there and all that stuff. I mean, 4 or 5 years left tops. And I think he should stay at second base to prolong his career. Danny Duffy was a big link 2 weeks ago with trades. Since landing on the IL, does he stay then, Dad? Does he still get traded?
What's his injury?
I think it's an oblique strain. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's 10-day. He might be back mid-August.
He will not be traded.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Anyone that's really on the IL, I just opt in the safe of saying probably not. Just because you lost so much value.
Well, the oblique can go a couple months.
Right. And I think it is. I could be totally wrong. But I know it's just supposed to be a short stay on the IL. One big trade name that I haven't heard circulated that I think will be traded is Carlos Santana. He's not a free agent at the year end. It's at 2022. But he's a first baseman DH, so I think he'll stay in the American League. Same thoughts with Merrifield. I think he'll either go to Seattle because Seattle's looking for those non-rentals because they know they have some really talented players coming up next year. Seattle could be a big force. If this was their year this year after the offseason they had, firing that president of operations because he said, we're going to trade everybody, we're going to have a low, we're going to finish fifth.
Right.
And now he's he's above 500, third place. They might try to compete. But I have also Boston being linked to them. If you're a first baseman with power, I have Boston being linked to you.
He's a left-handed hitter too, right?
I want to say switch,
Okay.
but I think he can hit left, but I'm not positive now that I'm second-guessing myself. But I think he'll end up in Seattle because of the team control.
I think Red Sox is a big option because I think the Cubs want too much for Rizzo.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want the Cubs. I don't want the Red Sox to get Rizzo. I have two options. I have what I said earlier: C.J. Cron as a lefty or Jesus Aguilar.
Okay.
Aguilar's better, but Cron's a lefty.
Okay. Watch him end up in Boston.
Rizzo?
Yeah.
He's not a good player anymore.
You're correct. He has back issues.
I'll get to Rizzo's predictions
right.
once we get to the NL.
Okay.
Greg Holland is, again, kind of like that topsy-turvy Greg Holland. Sometimes he's 40 saves in a season. Sometimes he has
sucks.
An 80 ERA.
Yeah, I know.
And this year's not so great. So if he gets traded, I think he'll end up in Cincinnati just because their bullpen's horrible, and they'll take any improvement, and he won't be that costly.
You know what's going to be funny? A lot of these guys who don't get traded will end up being DFA'd.
I agree.
And then all of a sudden I say, hey, make your own deal.
Like Wade Davis, I said non-tender, but DFA'd, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah,
he was good when he was good, but age.
Jorge Soler is their DH, also in his contract year. I have him also in a package of Santana being a first baseman, Jorge being a DH to Seattle.
He was so good for those 2 years. He was the star of the future, and I don't know what happened, but for a couple years he was darn good, like 30 home runs. Big, strong kid, not a great defensive outfielder.
No, he's going to stay a DH. American League team. Just like Carlos Santana.
I agree wholeheartedly. They won't get much for him, but we'll see what happens.
He can still hit the long ball, just not as well.
Yeah.
They have two center fielders that I think both will be traded. One is the speed demon of Jared Dyson, backup, and then Michael Taylor. I think both get traded. Separate teams. Houston's in dire need of a center fielder. I think they have a rookie in there right now. That's doing okay, but they need some veteran leadership.
Yeah.
And Michael Taylor has a World Series ring, so I think that's going to bring some stability to the club.
Very athletic player, by the way.
Yeah. He's
had
a great year this year. For 2 years ago, being in Double-A, World Series champion, now on the Kansas City Royals, about to be on the Houston Astros.
Good trade chip.
And then Jared Dyson, I just have going. I think him and Lorenzo Cain have played together, so I have him being like a backup to Cain in center or outfield whenever Jackie Bradley's not on there as they shift around, or just to steal some bases late in the game.
Yeah.
Single A ball player, but I think Jared Dyson does get traded.
Okay.
So that's the Royals. Did I miss anyone?
No. You're doing a fine job with your homework.
I'm flying, man. I love this. We're 30 minutes in the episode. We may split it after we get done the AL just because of length of the video.
Okay.
And then get into the NL.
Okay.
So the last team in the Central that's going to be a seller are the Detroit Tigers. Now, like you said, I don't think Detroit will sell all that much because they are exiting their rebuild.
You know what? They got a great farm system. So I think you may see the Tigers kind of like compete next year.
They have some solid pitching. I don't want to call them prospects because they have a year or two now in.
Right.
But I've seen like Tariq Skubal, which is a cool name, like Scuba, but whatever.
Anybody with Tariq is cool.
I know, right? Anyways, so he's doing well. They've had some pitchers that you never would have thought would do well, and their pitching is actually pretty good this year. So I'm impressed. Yeah. Casey Mize is in there, obviously, too.
All those draft choices are coming around.
Yeah, they are. So I only have them trading 2 players, and it's obviously the big name of Jonathan Scope. He's not going to come back. He's not in their future plans. He's a good player.
He's playing a little bit first base now.
Yeah, first and second. That's why
I never thought he'd be a first baseman.
He's linked to the Red Sox as well as a first baseman, which I'm
good utility guy.
He is.
Yeah, I can see him in Fenway. Pull
hitter. I can too, but I also see him going to the Bay Area and playing second base for the San Francisco Giants.
I think the Giants are going to be players.
I know.
Contrary to your belief.
I didn't say contrary to my... I said they're going to be players. They're not going to be stupid. Okay. There's a big difference. San Diego Padres are stupid if they're trying... No, they are. First off, I love Preller. He's a great GM, but he's stupid because stupid's a positive thing here. It's not like he's dumb. He's a brilliant man. But, hey, all right. So I'm going to go get a second baseman now because I don't want the White Sox to get him.
You're doing Sandler, by the way.
I'm going to try to trade Eric Hosmer. I don't know who yet, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to add 5 prospects, but I'll get them. That's insane. So
yeah, he's a mad scientist.
He is. And it's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch. It's entertaining. The San Francisco Giants, a little opposite. They'll get the players they need.
Good GM.
When the deal comes right.
Good
and I
GM.
think the deal will come across in the next 2-3 days for Jonathan Scope to end up in the Giants. And the Giants will be in first place when it comes to October, and there will be a play-in game between the Dodgers and the Padres for that last fourth wild card spot. And you please skip work because that game you won't want to miss.
Who do you pitch for your Dodgers? Who's the star?
Well, I would say Trevor Bauer, but I'm messing around for everyone.
Yeah,
I know.
He may not come back. Did you read that?
Yeah, I know.
They don't want him back. His teammates don't want him back.
I know. Kershaw, I believe, is on the IL now, so really for how long and all that stuff. I like Walker Buehler.
So that would be my choice.
That's mine, and I would go with you, Darvish. I wouldn't go with Blake Snell. I'd go with Darvish.
I would go Darvish too, because when he is good, he is good.
Yes, he's a competitor. They all are, but
he's got like 6 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who the hell does 6 pitches?
You, Darvish. All right. So where are you thinking for Jonathan Scope?
You know what? I think he's going to go to a team that he could be a utility guy.
Teams, Dad. Teams.
I know that. I'm just
utility guy. So he's playing first, second, maybe a little outfield, or
right now I'm thinking he goes to the East. I think he might go to Atlanta or Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia needs a infielder with a little pop. So I'm thinking Philadelphia.
I'm trying to think. I guess. Okay.
Philadelphia needs a lot of pitching, but they could use more offense, especially in that park.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, all right. Well, hey, crazier things have happened, and Dombrowski will be crazy as well. So Phillies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think whatever the Phillies do is not going to be enough. Personally, I just see the Mets winning that division.
Will the Mets choke?
I would hate to see it. I like the Braves, but no Acuna. Phillies have just had inconsistent pitching. They're trying to add it. It's going to matter the next couple of days. I don't know.
They're trying to fix it a little bit today.
Exactly. And then the other person I have being traded is also to the San Francisco Giants, and then you'll see why in a second. It's not Jonathan Scope is the main part of this deal. It's Robbie Grossman. So Robbie Grossman still has a year of team control, another thing that San Francisco, like Seattle, is after. Robbie Grossman is a left fielder, can play a little right field, can play whatever. I think he'll play right field for San Francisco because I think Yaz is in right or left. I always forget.
I think Yaz is left.
Okay, then Robbie will play right. Robbie's had no errors all year, so he's in line to possibly get a Gold Glove. He might be switching, leagues mid-year, but still, I think that's really impressive.
You know what? That's a good idea. I see package deal.
Yeah. So he'll play a corner outfield position. I'm forgetting off the top of my head if he's left or right, or if Yaz is left or right. I apologize. A lot of names being discussed, and Jonathan Scope get added into that deal.
When Yaz was with Bowie, he was left fielder.
Okay.
That's why I say that.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, so Tigers make one trade, 2 people, both to San Francisco, and they get some quality returns.
Yeah, they'll probably get 2 back.
Yeah. But so that's what I think, and not a lot of guys are rentals for Tigers. Everyone has contracts to 24, 25. Daniel Norris is a relief pitcher for them right now.
Yeah,
pretty bad.
Promise.
So I don't think he'll get traded at all. That's the only name I've heard floated around.
At one point, he was like the top 10 young pitchers coming up in American League. Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted him back then.
Hey, I remember Jared Parker for the Oakland Athletics too.
Yeah, we saw him in person.
Yep, and he got rocked.
Yeah,
he got rocked.
Yeah.
All right, that is the Central. We are moving on to the West, which is our last AL seller, in my opinion, unless you think Seattle's going to sell all of a sudden. But it's the Texas Rangers. Bad team. Guaranteed 5th. Guaranteed bottom of the basement. I would say guaranteed worst team in the American League.
Yeah, but they have so much money down there. That's the thing that bothers you.
New stadium. Hosted last year's World Series. Didn't do anything. They have Joey Gallo, who I think does not get traded yet again.
He's the kind of guy you want to hang on to.
I agree.
Because of his power and everything else. You got to hang on to something.
He can play third, first, and now right field. Yeah, I mean, he's extremely talented. I don't know. He hasn't had the best post All-Star past couple weeks. So I don't think he may have more value in the offseason. He also may value more value next July.
I think if a team is going to go after Gallo, they're going to have to come up with a blockbuster. So if the team wants to do 4 for 1, they'll probably listen. But it's like the Orioles. You got to stay with some kind of nucleus for the future. He's one of those guys.
I agree. Another guy that they have that's a year of team control, I think they do trade, and that's Kyle Gibson. He's their best starter this year. A lot of people are linked to him. I mean, again, who's not linked to starting pitching? Pitching is by far, trade deadline, the hardest thing to predict. shortstops, position players, catchers. Hey, I need a catcher. You can kind of predict who might be linked to somebody. I have Kyle Gibson going to the Yankees because
me too.
We got the first one. It took us to the end of the AL.
Well, I didn't predict like you did, but I had it in my mind.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Some of us is more research and take this seriously. I'm messing with you. I also have San Diego being linked to him.
We'll see. I think
I agree with Yankees. We don't need to talk more about it if you don't want to.
No. Yeah. I just think the Yankees have, I think San Diego is going to go big splash for a hitter to make that lineup a little more potent. I think their pitching they think is okay, except for some bullpen pieces. I'm not sure they go gun-ho for a starter. But the Yankees need pitching, and they can't lose the PR battle in New York.
I agree.
That's the other big thing.
I 100% agree, and I think it will happen. I think they won't make the playoffs, and I
think
the Mets will. And I'm as a Red Sox fan, I'm very afraid of when the Yankees don't make the playoffs and how aggressive they are in the offseason.
A manager may not be back.
I don't think he will. If Boone's gone, if the Yankees don't make the playoffs, he might be gone regardless.
Yeah, they're back there, my friend. They're 8 games back.
Yeah.
So
wow, and you have better options. I mean, the Mariners are ahead of them.
Yeah.
As I've checked this morning, the Mariners are ahead of them in the wild card.
You just can't get any momentum. Yeah. The injuries have really.
Yeah. Don't forget the Blue Jays. We haven't linked a team to the Blue Jays yet, but the Blue Jays are right at the Yankee level. So they're going to be in on teams too.
And they got a young squad that needs some veteran leadership.
Right. So I'm just saying the Yankee path is the hardest path in the AL.
Yeah.
I think
and Toronto's got a good farm system.
Seattle, in my opinion, has a higher percentage of making the playoffs than the Yankees. Welcome back to Crazy Town.
Wow.
Jordan Lyles is a trade candidate. He's having such a horrible year. I don't think he gets traded from the Rangers. Ian Kennedy is, I think, the one they get the most calls about. Who rebounded his career, man. He had a 21-game winner, I think, with Kansas City 10 years ago. And now he's a closer. Took a minor league contract invitation to spring training back in like February or March. And has now going to bring in 2 to 3 prospects for him. Los Angeles Dodgers. Because they do not trust Kenley Jansen. And this is another way. Now, they are high in the tax threshold. San Diego's going to spend because it's their first time and they have a very light penalty. The Dodgers are very worried. Dodgers have a 60% tax thing per contract that they go over the luxury tax. So they will not be in on Craig Kimbrell. They will be in on Ian Kennedy for affordability reasons.
We'll see. I just think that the bidding war will begin, and if the Dodgers are serious about winning the division, they're going to make a big splash. That big splash may be do something like the Padres, say, hey, listen, if you take this dead weight off of us, we'll give you 2 more prospects. And the Dodgers are loaded with prospects. So we'll see.
The last name on the Rangers that has been floated around, I've been saying that a lot now, for trade rumors, is Brock Holt. Brock Holt's having a terrible year, so I don't think he'll get traded, but if anything, there's a reunion for Boston just because of how good he was in the 2018 playoff run and World Series. So I think there could be a reunion there if something else happens, but it's not a priority for Boston just to, bring home people. Yep. There is a reunion coming, and I'll get to that in the next podcast.
He'd be a good one to put in AAA for a little bit, and then
sure.
You can wait for the playoffs and yada, yada, yada.
Here's a single-A ball player that's 28 years old. Oh, we'll trade Brock Holt.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's the AL. That we are at 43 minutes right now. I think we'll stop the video for us to take a little break, and then we'll resume with the NL, because there's more sellers.
Yes, there are.
Nationals and Cubs, complete overhauls. That's going to take us some time. So let's stop it, pause it. We'll upload this one. Again, share us your thoughts. AL sellers, buyers, tons of trade predictions. Dad, anything to say as we take this pause?
I think the real fun is going to be in the National League with the 3 teams in the West.
Yes, buyers and sellers, by the way. National League's entertaining.
Yes, and I think the American League, I think the World Series champion is going to come out of the National League. Just my 2 thoughts. The American League, I'm really happy for Boston. What a comeback, and I'm so happy for them. But Tampa Bay, I mean, you're talking about nipping at your heels. Mm-hmm. There's Tampa Bay right there for you. Yeah. And there's some teams that come in. We didn't mention anything about the White Sox the whole time.
Well, again, I think they're going to get a lot of stuff from National League teams. We didn't mention the Indians at all as buyers or sellers.
I think right now, I haven't got a good feeling of what they're going to do.
Me either.
Yeah. But the White Sox, they can feel they're going to win the division. Jimenez is coming back. big plus.
Eloy.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that they're kind of like in the driver's seat. They've had a good season. Along the way, I love the teams like Oakland that are just like, okay, what does it take to win? I love their strategy, love their GM. I think that's going to be fun. I love to see Boston in the World Series. We'll see what happens.
Enjoy the next 3 days for the AL trades. We'll be back with the NL trades momentarily.